Hey Farrell, are you ready to play Fort?
I'm sorry, your authority is not recognised in Fort Kick-Ass.
Ugh. Dogs, come on, what's this? Come on, what's this?
Okay, let's play Fort.
Hello, Bored a Bit here, Tally and Farrell, and today we're going to be reviewing Fort, which is a game about collecting toys and pizza and building the best fort out of anyone.
I had a Fort once.
This is a deck building card drafting game, and throughout the game you'll steadily be improving your deck in order to make you more efficient at gaining toys and pizza, which is mostly spent on upgrading your fort, but can also be used in combination with certain cards in order to score victory points.
Because of course, the player that gets the most victory points will win the game, like every game ever. So to begin, you'll grab a player map, and these are all the same, they just have different artwork. And you'll grab the two best friends that the player map tells you to grab, which are all the same in terms of the actions they can do. It's just that the artwork and their names are a little different. And this is just to match the theme, so if you have a skater kid, they're going to be skater kids. Once you've grabbed those, you're going to grab 8 cards from the deck, you're going to shuffle these all together, and then you're going to deal 5 cards out. And this is your starting hand.
Each card will have a myriad of symbols, which seem scary, but are actually fairly simple to understand with the help of this reference card. The most important thing to note is the suit of the card, which is in the top left-hand corner. On your turn, you will play 1 card. Most cards have 2 possible actions available, a private action and a public action. You can resolve either action in any order, but you must fulfill at least one in full. You'll resolve the action by following the symbols, and some cards will allow you to boost an action by giving up some more cards from your hand of the matching suit. In this case, by giving more blue cards from my hand, I will get another pizza, so I would end up with 3 pizzas.
Now, the private action, that's just for you if you choose to do it. The public action, however, can be copied by the other players. It's open to everyone. So once you're done, the other players can discard a card that matches the suit of that card, and they can take the action. However, they can only discard 1 card, so they can't get a boosted version of the action like you did. So another area of your player board to be aware of is the lookout, shown here. And some cards will let you put cards in your lookout, like so. And all this means is that now you have access to that card in addition to the 5 cards you have in your hand. So it makes your hand bigger and your choice greater. But also you can use these either just to play on your turn as a normal card, or you can use them to boost one of your actions, but you can't use them as a card to follow another player when they do their public action.
If you've played a card which gains you toys and pizza, the items will go into your stuff. However, some cards will let you put items from your stuff into your pack, which provides you with extra storage. The main purpose of the toys and pizza is to use as a currency to upgrade your fort to the next level, which will gain you one-time bonuses and victory points.
Now, the one-time bonuses will either be a made-up rule, and this will just be an opportunity for you to score extra victory points at the end of the game, and the card will tell you how to do that. Or it will be a perk which will break one of the rules of the game in your favour. Now, when you've played your card or cards, you will take them and put them in your personal discard pile. Any cards you didn't use will go in your yard, minus your best friends, who will go to your discard pile. Then you're allowed to take 1 card from somewhere, either the park, the deck, or another player's yard, because they've been bad friends and neglected the kids. So once you've taken your card, that will go straight in your personal discard pile as well. And then it's the next player's turn. Now, if you make it all the way back round and no one's stolen all of your friends from your yard. If there's any kids left, they will go in your discard pile. This is how it goes round to round until the end of the game, and this is triggered in 3 ways, either by someone getting 25 points, by someone upgrading their fort to the highest level, or by there being no cards left to draw from the deck. At this point, you will finish the round and count up.
Fort is on the easier side of the spectrum, meaning that it's not too bad to teach and the gameplay is not too long. It's actually a pretty friendly game due to the pretty minimal player interaction and particularly direct interaction. One half of the interaction that you can have is just outright helpful, which is the ability to copy the public actions. And the other half is just stealing unused cards from other players, which you probably won't care about because you will usually have, 2 other cards in your hand which can do similar or the same actions.
Now, because of the low player interaction, this makes it actually feel like the same game at 2 players as it does at 4 players, making it a great buy for both couples and gaming groups. And, you'd think there'd be differences between the player counts, but the game handles these differences deftly through the balance of the gameplay and its mechanics. And a good example of this is, for example, stealing from other people's yards. At 2 players, you can only have 1 card stolen from you per round, and you gain 1 card per round, so you'll never have a net loss. Whereas at 4 players, for example, if 3 players take cards from your yard, then you would think that you'd be at a massive disadvantage because you'd have a thinner deck and also be losing cards. But what actually happens is that because you can follow more players by copying their action, you're going to be discarding more cards and you're probably going to be doing it strategically. And this means that when it comes to your turn, you'll probably only be keeping the cards that you want to play at that moment. And if not, you'll probably only be putting 1, 2, or maybe even none in your yard, meaning that you never actually lose that many. So it really all balances out.
Fort is generally played in good spirits, but there is an amount of strategy in planning your public actions. You don't want the other players to benefit from your cards. So sometimes you'll take toys, knowing that the other players don't have any room to carry any more toys, or maybe you'll upgrade your fort, seeing that your opponents can't afford it, to stay 1 step ahead. It's a fun way to be competitive without actively annoying other players.
We'd like to talk about something we don't usually talk about, which is the components. And this is because they are really good. Like, this is one of those games where you're unboxing it and you're like, damn, this is some good shit. Like, you've got these player boards and they're really thick and they've got divots. And I can't say enough how much every board game should have divots on its player mats. Because I've got so sick of lately playing like Terraforming Mars and Pendulum, where they have these dinky little player mats that are like basically plastic paper, and you're supposed to be keeping track of something and it's sliding all over the place and you cough and it flies off across the table. It's ridiculous. None of that here. Like, the wooden tokens, they're really well crafted, the cards are really high quality, and it's just a pleasure to have like out on the table and play with. And going back to what we were saying about those dinky components in those like games, those games are actually quite pricey. And it makes it all the more annoying that they are, because Fort is really well priced when you consider the quality of the components and the gameplay. We should also talk about the artwork from the great Kyle Ferrin. He's well known for his work on Root, and he's done another great job here. The artwork suits the theme and is very distinct. One thing I will say though is that a lot of the kid cards are actually kind of eerie. Like, there seems to be like some undercurrent running through a lot of the cards, like they're ghost children or children of the corn or something. So it can be really, when you're playing and looking at them, it can be really quite unnerving. Now, there's nothing that we dislike about Fort, and there's nothing that's poorly implemented, but this doesn't make it the perfect game. It's not the most tense or exciting game you'll ever play, and it can be pretty autonomous at times, although this is negated somewhat because you're always interested in what other players are doing because of their public actions. But in addition, there's not that many routes to victory. Pretty much every game you're going to be focusing on upgrading your fort to the maximum level, kind of completing whatever it says on your made up rule card to get those extra victory points, and in your spare time using your cards to eke out a few extra victory points.
And speaking of the made-up rule, they can vary wildly, and it can kind of be unfair to be stuck with one that's worse than someone else's. For example, one of them will give you 8 victory points if you keep your fort at level 2. So you would score 11 points with the 8 plus 3 for the fort. However, if you upgrade your fort to the maximum level, that's going to give you 23 points. And other made-up rule cards will cap you at a maximum of 6 or 7 points, whilst others have no limit and someone else can score many more points from their made-up rule.
In the end, Fort is an amazing game to add to your collection, but maybe not a necessary one. It's going to be perfect for you if you're new to the hobby or just building up your collection due to its simplicity to teach and learn. It does absolutely everything right, from the quality components to the perfect price tag and the excellent gameplay. In short, you cannot go wrong by adding this game to your collection.
The only problem might be is once you have it and the newness has worn off, it's not novel or thrilling enough to demand to be played above other games, but it is a nice little game to play on those evenings where you just don't fancy anything heavier. At the end of the day, if you've got the spare money, like the look of the game, and you want it, you should definitely pick it up. If not, maybe try it out somewhere before you commit. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, we'd really appreciate it, and subscribe to our channel for regular board game reviews, and always more doggos.
Doggos!
Bye bye!
Bye bye, back to the Fort Meg.